James Welsh lives in Glasgow, Scotland, and during December 1999 he experienced a series of close encounters which involved other eyewitnesses on various dates that month. These encounters also included the involvement of low-flying RAF Tornado aircraft over controlled airspace on 2 separate mornings. On December 15 at 03:30 am he filed an official UFO report with Glasgow Air Traffic Control. On January 6, 2000 he received a written response from the British Ministry of Defence, who informed him there was no corroborating evidence to suggest the UK's airspace had been breached. Late in 2001 he made contact with UFO researchers Graham Birdsall and Ron Halliday to come forward with this information, and was encouraged to document an account of his experiences. After organising a meeting early in 2002 he was further encouraged by Ron to continue researching the matter. That was what was to be the beginning of the UFO investigation of the millennium. Over the course of the following decade James accumulated a wealth of information relating to events as they took place around the world during December 1999. He slowly pieced together and constructed a linear timeline of UFO sighting reports, and built a wealth of evidence to support his claims. Initially his mandate was to serve as a guide, merely pointing out the extent and similarity of independent eyewitness accounts against the details featured in his own written account. But then in 2012 his research branched into the launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery, which was tasked with the mission to repair and upgrade the Hubble Space Telescope. STS-103 was launched on December 19. In 2010 a YouTube user by the name undercoveralien posted a video about STS-103 mission photograph which featured an anomalous structured UFO. It wasn't until 2 years later that he was able to find and verify that this is a genuine NASA image, and began to examine the frames in more detail. That's when the investigation surpassed its mandate. On August 31, 2012 James literally exposed the UFO cover-up. At 23:03 GMT the Hubble was redeployed after all repairs were complete. 10 frames were taken to document the redeployment. This sequence of 10 frames were taken over a time span of 58 seconds. The first 3 frames snapped over a total of just 6 seconds. These 3 images all contain anomalous lights. 34 seconds then passed before the next frame was taken. STS-103-734-69 The rest of the frames were taken 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 1, 2, 4 and 2 seconds later. By examining the timeline of these frames it became apparent that the sequence was odd. This was because the first 3 frames 66, 67 and 68 featured anomalies, and through frames 71 to 75 an unidentified structured object can be seen. But mid-sequence frames 69 and 70 the unidentified object appeared to be missing. Given that it appears both before and afterwards in these images, it made no sense that these 2 images were devoid of the anomaly. So further investigation was carried out on these 2 specific frames. STS-103-734-69 was taken at 23:03 GMT. At first glance this image appears perfectly normal, but upon closer inspection on the high-resolution image, a small sliver of detail can barely be noticed with the naked eye. After downloading it from the NASA server, this frame was then enhanced on Photoshop to increase the brightness. Upon doing so a strange oval-shaped object becomes apparent with a dark round area. It was later realized that this was the shadow of the Hubble Space Telescope being cast on the unidentified object. If indeed this is the shadow of the Hubble, then it confirms that this oval-shaped anomaly is indeed a solid physical object. The implications that this simple detail has are staggering. This shadow proves that the object is indeed present in this frame, albeit invisible to the naked eye. What's even more interesting now is the small squiggle which all appears in the frame, which was taken 10 seconds later. STS-103-734-73. This was the image which contained the structured UFO. This same squiggle can be clearly seen on the contours of the hull of this craft. This feature matches the details that are evident on STS-103-734-69. Based on this evidence, it is clear that the UFO is present in the frame, even though it remains almost invisible. After being contacted about these findings, James sent these images off for professional analysis, and it was independently confirmed by two reputable sources that his discovery was legitimate. These images are available to download directly from the Gateway to Astronauts Photography of the Earth. Links will be provided.